Hey everybody. So this is our check-in for the month of December. Even believe that we're already at December. It's just hard to believe. So we are also doing this as our first year-end check-in with kind of recap of sorts. And I'm going to make sure I take the time to ensure that my good friend Charlie Red is either here or on his way. So it looks like he might be floating about here. Chuck, if you're in the room, then I'm going to ask you to go ahead and ask to be added. But let's see here. See if I can share. Make sure that you're here, buddy. See you that way, but that's okay. We'll get you in here, I'm sure. Let me see if I can invite you here. And if you don't have the invite, then just ping me because I know that it should be coming on the way to you. So, all right. So in the meanwhile, we're in December, so I'm wondering what everybody's got going on for the holidays. I'm sure that now that we've gotten past Thanksgiving and we know that Christmas is on the way and then it's going to be here pretty quick. So, um, hopefully you all are getting in the spirit of shopping and getting gifts and all that good stuff. Chuck, I see you here, brother. I'm getting ready to add you right now. And I think I'm in the midst of adding you, so I will wait and see if it comes through. But yeah, did everyone put up a Christmas tree or things of that nature? I mean, well, a part of me is saying that's an awful lot of work, lots of work. But ultimately, I think it's worth it. I am curious how many of you actually have grandchildren as well. So do you spend time for Christmas with your grandkids, that kind of thing? I have not been blessed to have them yet, but that's okay. I know they'll be here one day. So I will live vicariously through each and every one of you. Chuck, I will tell you that it is telling me that it is adding you. So you may need to step back out and come back in, but it's saying that it's adding you. So let me see if I can turn that off and try it again here. Let me try adding you again here. See if that works. And all of a sudden you left. So, okay, that's fine. I know you'll be back, but in the meanwhile. So I'm curious now that we've gone through this for an entire year, and for those of you that have jumped on and you've been kind of interacting with us as a part of the check-in that we've done every month. As you know, it's the first Saturday of every month. This is the first Saturday of December. So I'm curious to see how many of you have been interacting with us, and what have you thought about some of the topics that we've covered? Because we've had kind of a slew of things that we've talked about. But again, I don't want any of you to think that we have not gone in and read all of your comments, because we absolutely have. So, and again, we thank each and every one of you for joining us every single month as a part of our check-in with family. So with that being said, again, Chuck, I'm gonna see if I can add you again here, just in case you are still floating about. And I don't see that I can possibly add you, so you may have to come back in the room, my friend. But in the meanwhile, today I thought, I'm going to put a little background music on and kind of see what that does for us. So, uh, yeah, Chuck, I think you're coming back and forth, but unfortunately, it's not allowing me to add you. But again, we'll wait a second and see what happens here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so a little background, a little mood music, as we like to call it. I felt like something kind of, kind of smooth jazz would be okay, and it's appropriate, as I should say. So, Chuck, I see you in the room. Let me try adding you again, brother. See what happens this time. There it is. I mean,
Let me get ready. Let me get ready.
okay, well, I'm going to do a little adjusting here since we're on camera. Let's see here. A tad bit of adjusting myself and see. I think that probably looks a little better. This whole
Well,
camera thing has still kind of got me. I'm still kind of, trying to figure that whole thing out. So, yeah.
I figured since this is a nostalgic pod, we're
Mhm.
looking back. I figured I would take it back to day
Oh,
one. The first
oh,
one that I did from the garage.
true. Hmm.
And we had Bonnie jump on and Celeste jump on, and so
Hmm.
it was,
Hmm.
again, it was just really supposed to be a test that day,
Yes,
right? We were just gonna just play with it and see what would work, and it
kind
actually
of.
wound up being a pretty actually wound up being a pretty good show. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I figured I'd take it right
Okay,
back. I see Larry's jumped on.
absolutely. It's like the usual suspects, but we've got some other folks. Hey, Larry, good morning, brother.
What's
I know
good,
it's
bro?
early for you where you're at. Look, Joe Mo Robinson, that's a name from Eisenhower we haven't seen in a long time. Hey, brother. Not sure where Joe Mo's out of. I'm not really particularly sure, but brother, if you hear us talking, then definitely let us know where you're in or at now, I should say. Doing good though, Larry. Good to see you, brother. We still have to have you up here. Still waiting to have you join, brother. So let us know when you want to join us during the check-in with. So, but Chuck, I was saying while you were joining that I decided to play a little mood music today, a little background music, a little smooth jazz, to bring us into this chat. But I can always turn this off. I'm sure you'd rather hear something else.
Well, no, no. Again, twins. Even though I'm older than you by about 12 hours. But I thought of the same thing. I actually. When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? And I figured I would play that for Vinny.
I
So thank you very
mean,
much.
I can take that and run with it. I mean, actually, it's strange that you say that because a part of me was saying, okay, we keep this real informal. And let me stop for a second and let's go back up to the top. This is the check-in with. It's the monthly. I hate to call it a podcast, but I'm over it now. This is a monthly chat on Facebook Live that me and my good friend Charlie Red have every single month, the first Saturday of every single month, again at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. for the Pacific Coasters. And this is our 12th edition of doing this. So we thought it just appropriate to be able to have kind of a year-end check-in with, and to not go every month over month, like you said, we're just going to kind of, chat as it comes. And that's been what's been successful about this is that there's not a whole bunch of structure to this. So, but when we look back over the course of the past year, we got a lot of things we could sit and talk about. There's a lot of things that were very memorable about each and every one of those pods or chats. You just mentioned Vinny. Again, Larry in the chat is saying, rest in peace, Vinny, our good brother, our dear brother, Vincente, as I called him, but Dwayne
Dwayne.
Vincent Harris.
Dwayne.
He loved that. He loved that. But our brother Vince Harris, who we love and adore, we lost a few months ago. But we will say, let's take the time, because I don't know if we took enough time before, Chuck, if we really want to dive in. Let's talk a little bit about Vince and when you and I kind of started talking about doing this and, we started having conversations with some of our good friends, Vince being one of them, and what you think that his thoughts were about this and what he was able to bring to this. So just kind of, if you would.
Well, one of the things in preparation for today, it's like you said, is very informal. So I would definitely give you credit. And also being the brainchild, putting this together. Again, I'm very humble that you even asked me and even asked Vinny to be a part of this. So let me start out by saying that. So thank you, T Money. I think one of the things in preparation again for today, I did go back and I was looking at some of the previous chats that we've had, and he was on there. So again, just to listen to his voice one more time, it's an opportunity that although you may be physically absent, you are still present. And so even again, coming up with some of the topics, everything from aging, growing up, grief, we covered that, trust, loyalty, love, wisdom, what would you tell your younger self? Music was actually one of the good ones that we did as well. So we had an opportunity to go from, kind of lighthearted when we first started. That's why I went back to the garage, because that's how we first started, talking about dancing and frisbee, etc. All the way through some very profound topics such as, your girls, all girls pod, where we had Carolina on. And Tammy on. So it was it's been a very, very interesting journey, and I think he would be very proud of it. And that's why I thank you for giving me the opportunity to in kind of indulge and play my Yellow Brick Road, because that's something that we share going back to the old school days. Elton John, old school days. But every time I hear that song, it just makes me think fond memories of him. like you said in one of the pods, or he said it too. I've known him since kindergarten. So, you know, for him to be a part of that, and then again, the new age people we've added. Pratt came on. You know, Varsity was on with us. You know, my boy Keith Lane killed it twice. I mean, so, you know, again, we've been very, very blessed. And like I said, Neil, Susan, going back to elementary school days, and how many people can say that? So again, so just, you know, I'm very appreciative of this opportunity just to kind of, you know, go back from a nostalgic purpose and kind of look at where we've come from, where we are now, and also again just give a special shout out to our friends who continue to check in with us. You know, build new friends. Our old friends have been faithful, so this would not be what it is without them. Because we can do another different type. We've talked about, you know, a regular, you and I talk, people do that interactivity, and that's the reason why we're doing, because we want to engage. So
Can you hear that? You can hear that?
no,
You can't hear it.
no, it went in and out. When you're talking, it's not picking that up too.
You can't hear that.
Yeah, I hear it in the background. You just keep letting it play.
Look, I'm like, let me turn it down because it's really loud here in the house. Funny. Look, good to know. So that way, I didn't know if you guys could hear that or not. Again, that's funny to me because to me, that's the song that you say reminds you of me. I'm like, I'm really I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by how we took the bus in second grade, and that must have been but I don't think the movie was out. Maybe it was. I just don't remember. I'm like, was the movie out when we started in second grade? I don't feel like it was. It came out a couple years later. Does it matter? Not really. But for you to say, Tanya, that song reminds me of you, I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know why it would. But, you know, again, like you said, it is what it is, they say. So, yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? We've got Gil Kimbrough that's watching. That's one of our loved ones. Corey Dubose. Hey, brother. How are you? Boy, these are some great names from our past.
Yeah, CD.
Larry, of course, we see you. Yeah, Charlotte. Charlotte Red. Hello. Hello. Look. She said, cuz, are you cold? Look, you know the man sit up here with hats, hoodies in the garage.
Yeah, in the garage.
But like you said, that takes us back. So that's a good thing. Larry, what are you saying, brother? Maybe I could add a little love flavor to the podcast in 2025. Well, brother, look, we're looking forward to it. You just let us know. We'd love to have you. Trust me, we love to have you because we know you bring a lot of information. Mm-hmm. But to go back to what you're talking about, Chuck, I think this past year, just being retrospective, I don't think I could have imagined, you know, in 23 coming into 24, and number one being here, right? I don't even know where this really came from, to be honest with you. So, you know, God is good. That's what I will say. I don't even know where this came from. So this is not something in all of Tanya's brilliant, you know, brain thought of. No, this is definitely a God thing. So I'm grateful for that. Mm-hmm. But I would have never thunk that in this year we would have lost people that we lost. And, you know, Vinny was very, very close, you know, especially, again, I want to take time to really take time in this moment to acknowledge him and acknowledge our friendship with him. Like you said, we've known him forever. You know him longer than I did. You mentioned kindergarten, known you all since second grade, and just been integral and been there. It's almost like he used to say, I don't know a time when I didn't know you. How long I've just known you. And to have friendships for 50 years is a beautiful thing to say. And I know there are many people that cannot say that. So for that, all of the people that we know, the people that are joining us, that take the time to join us, again, just want to say thank you. But being retrospective on these chats, again, I went back in and I was kind of peeking at that first one, and I said, that was a nightmare.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna really take you back. But
go
ahead.
Oh my gosh, that was a nightmare. First of all, I had different technology back then. I had the oldest edition of the Samsung Galaxy. And so the technology far surpassed what it was that I had. So therefore, on that first chat, that first pod, I kept freezing. It was a, you know, the sound would go out, or and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I think that went on for probably I want to say maybe a couple months. I don't know. I just know at some point I was like, I think I'm going to get another phone. If we're going to keep doing this, I may want to get another phone. But that first one was really a nightmare. And I was sitting back watching it the other day saying, this is hilarious and horrid at the same time. So I don't, what you got, Chuck? I know you got something to say. Besides what you're sitting there doing right now, I'm sure you got something to say.
And that's based, again, that's just taking it back to the very beginning.
There you go.
Because, again, a lot of things have changed. So let me go ahead and put this out.
No, you're fine, brother. You're fine. Because at the end of the day, you are paying homage to that first chat.
I am.
Yes.
True. But again, just going back, the topics. Some of our topics are very heavy. And then others were a little more, we're a little lighter, and we enjoyed both. And I keep referring back to the music because as we're talking about, nostalgia, etc., music really played a big part of that.
Absolutely.
And so we all can listen to a certain song and it'll take you back to a certain time period. And then even another deep topic when we talked about, again, with Varsity and Keith, in terms of, the challenges of a platonic relationship. I mean, those are really deep topics to actually go over. So it is 12 o'clock, and as you see on the dot, the siren goes off. Yeah. So I'm gonna shut up, try to put the music back on, and let you talk. Hopefully y'all can drown it out.
No, actually, you know what? We understand it. We appreciate it. At least you have the warning. So there you go. For anyone that's listening or watching in, that background siren is because they have the hurricane, right? Hurricane? Yeah. Tornado, hurricane?
Tornado.
To watch. We get them out here in Kansas too. So he's getting them in his part of the neck of the woods too. There's too many. I feel like there's too many topics to kind of go back in, but some of them that were memorable, obviously, the heavier hitters, like you talked about, and you've said it a couple of times now. When we had our brother Elgin on, and we were talking about grief,
yes.
How we process grief, and little did we know within a month of that Vince would be gone, and here we are talking about death. How do we process that? This is stuff you don't see coming, but then again, that's life and it's lifing. The music absolutely is big, and like you and I talked a couple of days ago, we could have actually have had that several times. We could have covered that several times throughout this year, because I know that we only kind of barely scratched the surface. So at the end of the day, we probably have to come back and revisit that. Let's do another one next year, or even two. Because we've got that to do, and with different people or da-di-di-da, but still there's just a lot of music that we didn't touch. What you got in the background, brother? You playing? I'm waiting for it to play.
Yeah. Again, I was just trying to go back just to cover the siren, but the siren's gone.
Okay.
Larry said that you owe him a dinner.
Okay, I'm looking now.
Yeah, he said yeah.
And then put me as Ms. Tanya Mason. I don't know if Mr. Mason's gonna like me being called Ms., but you may want to slide an R in there. I'll just tell him it was a typo. That's all right. Looking forward to getting my Christmas dinner plate. I know you're gonna. You know what, brother? I'll be honest with you. There's not going to be. I'm not gonna have a huge crowd here. Similar to Thanksgiving, and I know this is off topic, but since we're sitting here talking anyway, we didn't have a lot of people. Chuck, what are you playing?
You're saying Yellow Brick Road is in the back. Go ahead.
Okay. We didn't have a lot of people here for Thanksgiving, and so although I showed what I was making, at the end of the day, I made it real easy. You know what I mean? I didn't want to overdo, because that's my tendency to want to cook for 20, 40 people or whatever it is. And in this case, it was only 3 of us here. But now Christmas is probably going to be somewhat easy. Again, you saw I make Cornish hens for Thanksgiving and some fried chicken, because my family doesn't really like turkey. But it's going to be something easy. It's not going to be anything too significant. And if I do a whole bunch at all, if it's just Will and I and the dogs, no sense in going all the way out. Now, the one that's probably going to go out is Chuck, because he's got more people than I do. So, yeah. I see our sister Linda Perkins is joining us. Hey, Linda, how you doing, sis? And again, everyone, this is the check-in with it. And if you're wondering what it is we're covering this month, we're just doing a retrospective review of how our year has gone, because we've been doing this now for an entire year. It's hard to believe. We started last January with a horrendous showing of technology, defeating the quote unquote hosts. It was bad. It was bad. If you ever want to go back and look, I think they're all on my page. So feel free to go in and look, but it was really bad. But for the people that joined that day, hey, we want to say thank you, and hopefully you all come back around. But I think we kind of got ourselves together within the next couple of months after that. And again, not to go too far into every single month, this is what we covered. To me, it's more talking about what have we experienced? What have we learned in all of this time? When people kind of look and say, why are you guys doing this? Why do you jump on this chat once a month on Facebook and invite people in and da-di-di-da? I think you have one of your loved ones here, brother. Hey, Linda, we see you, sis. How do you pronounce
Good morning.
Miss Douglas' name?
Yeah, that's your bandmate. Well,
Yeah. How
she's my
do you pronounce her first name again?
Raheem.
Raheem. Okay, I want to make sure I'm saying it right this month, sis, because I
Raheem.
said it wrong before. So,
Yeah,
yeah, good to see you as well. Glad you
Raheem.
joined us for the check-in.
Yeah, Raheem.
But Chuck, if you could, what are your thoughts on why are we doing this every single month? I know we cover it. We probably cover it lightly every time we jump on here, but what are kind of your reasonings, especially now we've been doing it for a whole year?
Well, just give people an opportunity to check in with us. That's why we call it the check-in. It's again, it's informal, but it's not without thought. So it gives people just again the opportunity just to check in, and if they feel like they want to contribute or something they want to say, they have an opportunity to do so. And one of the beautiful things about this, again, just from a people person, because that's my business, the people business as a social worker, to hear people come on and like you said, Elle, Pratt, Keith, people who came, Varsity when she was on, people who came on and actually talked about in depth, and they were vulnerable. But at the same time, in their vulnerability, they were extremely courageous.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely very humbling to me. And so those are the type of occasions that make you smile, that say it's all worth it, because it does give that platform. Now, do we know what the positive benefits will be? No, we probably will never know. Do we know if there's somebody else who's watching that heard something that somebody said that resonated with them? We don't know. That is pretty much for God to do his work. We're just the vessels. And so that's where I believe, us extending the conversation that you and I have to the larger group is actually definitely beneficial as a part of the, again, check-in. So this is the monthly check-in that I have with my good friend Tanya, my peanut butter and jelly buddy from the second grade. And I just had to throw that in because when I did my mail pod, she said, you didn't say that enough. You didn't go back to the, I said, you're right. You did. So I want to make sure that I get the plug in. Yes, this is the monthly check-in that I have with my good friend Tanya. But again, going back to the topic, yeah, it was definitely an opportunity. And again, we don't know how far reaching that opportunity was. I can tell you that some of the feedback that I received has been very, very positive. And people have been very, very encouraging. So obviously, without them not feeling comfortable to come right out and either share their story like some of the others did, at the same time, they have been definitely affected and impacted by it. So, and even people who couldn't be on, like Gerald, when we were trying to do the responsible pod or chat last week, he didn't have the opportunity to join because he was being responsible, but he still wanted to contribute. So those type of situations and opportunities, they're very humbling to me.
Absolutely. Sister Raheem was saying she joined because we all started in a small town together, and look at us now doing amazing things. Sis, I will tell you, and you just said it, Chuck, the far-reaching effect.
She's doing amazing things here in Columbus. So yeah, I'll toot her horn for her.
Amen. The far-reaching effect. Now, just talk just from a logistics standpoint. Again, we went from small town Rialto. You live southeast, let's just say.
Yeah.
I live Midwest. We've moved. You moved all the way to the East Coast at one point. I've lived East Coast. I've lived down South. You just never know where these relationships are going to take you, and or what they're going to look like over the course of 20, 30, 40, our case 50 years. Again, we're just grateful to know that the people that are tuning in, that are joining us, are not just our friends or relatives or coworkers from our grown-up years, but they literally go back in time for us. And that's important for us to know. That's why we do it on Facebook, because we know the people that are on our friends list, they're going to join in, they're going to take a look and say, hey, what are they over there talking about? Da 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 da. And we've just got a mixture of, whether it be coworkers, church friends, people we went to school with, relatives, whatever that is. So again, we welcome everyone to join. And we also welcome everyone to jump up on camera with us. So yeah, let that be an opportunity. So Sister Douglas, that includes you. Since my brother over here wants to toot your horn, make sure you join us on the check-in coming up 2025. I would kind of ask if there is a favorite, and I'm going to ask this to the people that are in our chat, as well as for you, Chuck. Over the course of all of these months, for everybody that's been kind of peeking in at us, did you have a favorite topic that we covered? Or do you feel like one of the topics was a little bit more difficult to kind of discuss?
It's ironic that you mentioned that, because almost when we look at the whole body of work over the course of the last 12 months, it's almost like an album.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like asking an artist, what's your favorite song? And sometimes they may say the songs that weren't as popular with everybody else, but it was actually something that resonated with them. And so I actually thought about that. And I said, well, I mean, after I looked at all the videos, and I guess one of the ones that was really humbling was when I had my son on the last month to talk about responsibility, because I get to see firsthand every single day him exercising that. So yeah, that's one that was actually kind of personal to me. That's one of those when you're singing a song and you're singing from the heart, and nobody really knows why you're singing the way you're singing, but that was it. But again, the grief, with Elle, again, profound. All of them were. Again, the music, again, I keep saying that again, that resonates because it takes me to different time periods in my life. Again, even I listen to some songs, I think about Eisenhower baseball, I think about Eisenhower football, sometimes I think about Cal State baseball. Because again, all those great relationships that I was able to develop were just some fine individuals, just good people. And it just takes you back there. So,
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole album. I just say that.
There's not a skip in the whole album, huh?
No, there's not a no.
All right. I'd like to shout out our brother David Dominguez. It looks like he had joined us. Say what's up to him this morning. And our sister Jamel. Hey, Jamel Martin. That's a name that I haven't seen in a very long time. Good to see you, sis. We go back to Frisbee. So yeah. I'm in agreement with you. I don't have a particular favorite. I will say that I was a little misty by watching you and your son. Brother Keith, love him to death, always, always. But to be able to see you and your seed, oh, that's good stuff. I love it. And hopefully we'll be able to see him on here again in 2025. And with that, I'm going to shout out my sons Stephen and Kenneth. They will be joining us for the podcast next month. So look forward to that, the first Saturday of January 2025, if you can believe that. And I know we'll be talking about Generation X versus the millennials, because I believe that that's what they are. So we're like this close to being boomers, brother. So yeah, I'm glad to say that we actually 10 years later. But anyway, so I look forward to that, and it should be fun. And by the way, the connection is my sons are Charlie's I'm gonna say grandkids, Jesus, God kids. God kids.
I know I got the white, but I did expect, yeah.
Yeah.
I grandson, but that's not a 30-year-old.
It's godsons. So this ought to be a good time. But that being said, no, I agree with you. I don't think I have a particular favorite. And I'm just going to sit and take a moment, because we're being retrospective, just to say thank you. Number one, thank you to all of you that take the time to jump in and check in with us. That's first. Because again, Charlie and I do this all the time. Well, when I say all the time, we talk at least once a month, at least. And outside of here, we talk once a month, get on the phone, chop it up, da 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 da. Depends on what's going on in life. But again, thank each and every one of you for jumping on and checking in with us, because we don't have a reason to be up here doing this other than we want to be able to talk, not just with one another, but with the masses, as Charlie had said. And then second, I also want to be able to shout out your family, Chuck, because they don't mind you jumping up on this camera and talking with me every single month in this manner, and being supportive of it. And as well, my family, my husband, my sons, my daughter. But then lastly, I'd like to thank you, because I know that from the first time I said, Chuck, let's just get on the camera and see what happens. You're like, but for what?
Yeah.
What? Why we gotta do that? I mean, we already talking on the phone. I'm like, Chuck, just trust me. Just it's gonna be good until you go back and look at that first one and see how much of a nightmare it really was. Just again, just from a technology standpoint, it was bad. It was bad. But you grow, you learn. It's what it is. Here we are. But I do want to thank you, because again, this is not something that you had to do. I humbly accept the fact that you have said, hey, appreciate you thinking enough of me to ask me, but technically, thank you for doing this. There's always a method to my madness. And honestly speaking, it's not anything that I'm doing. This is divine. It's absolutely divine. And the Lord placed it in my heart to ask you for us to be here. And here we are. And we've been doing it for a year. So again, thank you for that.
And it comes back to you. It does. It comes back to you. I mean, like Larry just said in the comment, he's learned a lot. So have I. So this is an opportunity to, again, for us to learn and share from each other. And this can go in so many different directions. We've talked about business things. I have a nurse practitioner at my job, and I've invited her if she wants to come on and talk about diabetes. So again, from a healthy perspective, here I'm smoking, but from a healthy perspective. So there's so many different ways that we can go with this, to give each of us an opportunity to teach each of us.
Absolutely. Each one teach one.
Yes. What better opportunity does, would anybody
Mm-hmm.
have?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that considering that we feel like we were kind of stumbling through this first year, and don't get me wrong, I really want to make sure that everybody understands. And I said this to Chuck months ago. If our names are associated, we got to make sure that we're doing it the right way. That first month, it was a nightmare because we were just playing around. But then I said, Chuck, we probably need to sit and think of some topics to kind of talk about. And then now this is where I want to go back to Vinny again for a second, because Vinny was integral in providing us with probably months 2 through 4, maybe even 5 of topics to cover, with month 5 being right around the time frame that we lost him. So again, this is not something just for Charlie and I. This really is something that's interactive for everyone. And we really want everyone to be engaged and involved with this. Again, we could talk to each other off the camera. We don't have to be on camera. We talk to each other as much as we want to. But to be interactive with each of you, oh, that's very important. And to be able to share, to be able to learn, to be able to grow together. That's really the purpose of what we're trying to do here. So, but again, to say that, we have topics that we have had embedded for this past year now. And we really kind of try to get it together, as I mentioned. Grateful to Vinny. That's why we were calling him our producer extraordinaire, and God rest his soul. But I won't lie to you, here about 2 months ago, I said, okay, Chuck, let's start loading it up for 2025. So we technically have topics covered all throughout 2025, and we're looking forward to, I shouldn't say we're looking forward to, but Chuck, I'll let you speak for yourself. I'm looking forward to what 2025 is going to bring, and how these chats are going to continue moving forward. So I will stop there and ask you, Charlie, what are you seeing for 2025 for the check-in? What are you imagining?
Well, again, I keep saying this. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Although the format appears to be,
I mean, I read it. I didn't want to say anything. I read it though already. Larry, checks in the mail, Larry.
Hey, he's a smart dude. I agree with him. Again, that's the truth is the truth. But the one thing that I can say is that, again, although that our topics are, once again, the format is very informal, the thought behind it is not. And I thank you, because we're also open, because it's not just us coming up with them. We're definitely heavily influenced by what other people want to hear. So if it really requires that, we might have a topic, it might be next month, parenting 101, and somebody else comes up with another topic, we'll actually put parenting 101 to the side to be able to discuss what they want to discuss. So that type of flexibility is just admirable. It is, it's admirable. So again, it's not just for us, it's for all of us. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Absolutely. And the same, absolutely. And the same thing with people that actually are able to join when we're live and wanting to come up on the camera. One thing I think I'd like to say, Chuck, again, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I think it's people have a thought that we're only doing this specifically for people that we went to school with. And I said a couple of minutes ago, this really, the far-reaching effect has more to do with not just whom we've known our entire lives, but who we currently know, our family, friends, coworkers, churchgoers, whatever that is, social circle, whatever that is. This is just for people that are in your life, period. No matter the when it started or how it's ending, this is for people that are in our lives. And so, for those people that have wanted to jump up on the camera and we haven't been able to bring you up, please don't think that this is only an Eisenhower or Frisbee or any school in the Rialto Unified School District type of thing. Yes, our relationships go back that long, but this really is about being interactive with everyone that's been in your life. So no matter what that looks like, I don't want anyone to think, oh, they're doing this for Eisenhower, even the color I'm wearing is olive. I'm not even wearing, our school colors, So it's not an Eisenhower type of thing, although we love everyone that we've known that long. But just understand that this is not they're doing it because it's no, it's not. There's a place for that already on Facebook, and if you go back with us that far, you'll know that there are groups that are already established for any of the schools that are in the Rialto Unified School District. So if you have that interest, you could always go and join that, but we're not doing this live for those purposes. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I think that that's been a misnomer for some people that, oh, you guys are doing, I want to jump on because, you guys are doing an Eisenhower chat. No, actually we're not. But there have been people that have joined us that we've known that long. And so I can see how maybe that would be the thought, but that's not the case. So.
I mean, it is not the case as evidenced by, using a DFACS term, as evidenced by, at Mercedes Bailey. I met her at while I was working for DFACS here in Georgia. My old boss, Vernadine Mabry, she's popped in. She lives in Louisiana. I've had Charles Woods, as recent as the last podcast. He was not able to join, but he was able to go in the comment section. Again, Columbus, Georgia, with Enrichment Services, Early Head Start. So you're absolutely right. The people who have been able to contribute to the topic and the conversation aren't all necessarily, Morgan Elementary. I mean, it does. It covers everybody who has touched our lives, and hopefully we've touched theirs in a very positive way. So it's actually fun. I have the YouTube playing in the background, so I have Chicago. If you leave me now. Yeah.
Not one of my favorites by Chicago, but that's okay. I mean, I get the idea, So
I'm full effect, taking it in the full effect.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful, absolutely grateful. Good night. I just all of a sudden had this wave of Chicago songs just hit me like, why did you pick that one? You could have picked another one, but that's, just me being being a snob, music snob, so pay zero attention to anybody. Larry Duncan said, can I make a suggestion for a topic? Maybe cover the outside influences from different cities. Now, Larry, you will have to further elaborate on that because we could take that and run with it a million different directions. So if there's something more specific that you mean by that, cover the outside influences from different cities. Yeah, this might want to be a little bit more specific as to where you want to go with that, but I like the idea of it. Sounds good. And then our sister Raheem saying 2025 that she is working on a book and art process videos. Good on you, sis. We love it. Sister Cassandra, you're saying good afternoon, Mr. Red. If you could touch one person, it's great. But I know you will touch many, many more. So bless her for that. Now, Sister Cassandra, are you someone that's in the Georgia area? I'm going to
Yeah,
assume so. Okay. Okay. Good
yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
She led transportation for Richmond Services, so
Okay.
she was responsible for making sure that the kiddos got from their homes to the various centers. Again, some of those things that we kind of often overlook because they just happen, but somebody's behind that.
Yeah. Well, and again,
And Tanya, and she didn't go to Morgan with me. She didn't go to Frisbee with us. She didn't go. Okay, see, so yeah.
so again,
Just,
that gives,
I just wanted to drive home your point. That's
yeah,
all.
I was going to say
Thank,
that gives credence to that.
yeah.
Yeah, that absolutely gives credence to it. Okay. So again, I don't want people to think that this year-end review is us going to talk. We're going to talk about each and every month of what we discuss. This is really just being retrospective that we've gotten through 2024. We've all gotten here together. There's been a lot of things that have happened, and we just happen to have a Facebook chat that we talk every single month. But again, just the proof is what we're talking about right now. The people that have joined us, that are in the chat, that are talking with us, these are people that have been here along the road, and we hope that will continue to be here along this road. Now, I'm going to throw out, Larry, you started, I'm going to throw out an opportunity for people to bring topics to us. Because again, although we have them, as Charlie said, already kind of somewhat loaded, if that's the case, does not mean that we won't put things to the side and bring anything else forward that you'd like to discuss, that you would like to talk about. And I'd also like to invite each and every one of you to be able to come and talk about it right here on camera, because if you're bringing it, that means it's important to you, and that means it's important to us. So there you go. Let's see.
Well, let me
Mika, go ahead.
interject a little bit. Even going back to Mika, like I said,
Yes. Greg.
Amicia Washington. I mean, Greg,
Yeah.
popped on. I
Greg
mean, again,
Carter. Mm-hmm.
yep, sure did.
Yep.
I mean, profound. But I guess I just wanted to touch back on also what you said about in terms of topics. Again, this is a platform where we have an opportunity to go as deep as we would like to, or keep it as funny or superficial as we would like to. And so that's a beautiful thing. So even when Larry bringing up that, I think we kind of touched a little bit on the influences, because like you said it earlier, you said, you live in the Midwest, I live in the South. Pratt is in pretty much the desert. And so, we were talking about, even though we're in different parts of the country geographically, some of the things, how we were influenced coming from one central location, how that has influenced us and how we interact in our new environment. And also, and just speaking on that, how has the new environment that you've been in influenced you? Because I could definitely tell you that growing up in California has definitely prepared me for life down here in Georgia. I can't say it crossed over from California to New York, but it definitely crossed over from California to Georgia. And many, going back to Rialto in 1974. So yeah, it definitely does have the opportunity to influence, where you are, influence who you are, good or bad.
Absolutely. I will say that I'm grateful. You've already said it. I'm grateful that the people that are joining us are not just people that we've known for over 40 years, let's just say. It's nice to have a good influx of people that know you today as an adult. And don't get me wrong, I love everyone that we've known since Rialto Unified. I love all of those people. But it's nice for some people that have kind of got a chance to see you as an adult, be able to kind of come in and impart some, information, knowledge, wisdom, about their relationship with you, or with us, I should say. That's always nice. Because to have a memory of me is one thing, but to know me now as an adult is something completely different. And so I love the memory, but I hope the person I am today, hope I made you proud. I hope I turned out okay. I made you proud. Little girl from little podunk, Rialto. Yeah, I dig that.
Well,
Well,
I mean, the one thing that said that, I guess maybe I can't see it, so I have to take your word for it, because you've known me a very, very long time. That I haven't really changed, and I don't think I have. I think I have been enhanced by all those people that I mentioned that I've interacted with and have been able to learn from. But at my core, and that's what Reverend Neil says here, he says, basically, you are who you are at the core. And so I think my core has remained pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's because that during those formative years, early years, that again, people poured into me. I mean, I can name them, just spout them off. Whether it be Chuck Lewis, we lost Al Jury, who was a football official. Chuck Lewis got him started in that, and he was one who did the first Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
first Black to work the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, got me started. Fred Smith. He was my track coach, football coach, very instrumental. Joe Baca, we know Joe Baca as Joe Baca, but Joe Baca's dad was also very influential. I mean, he was one of my first baseball coaches. So yeah, the relationship goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more you think about it, the deeper it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Larry, I see what you're saying with respect to people that moved in and out from LA into the IE. Again, that is we could talk about that for days because we were still there when all of that was kind of happening in the early 80s, and Rialto no longer looked like Mayberry, and it turned into Kuwait at a certain point. Tragic but true. Looking back now, really, really, it's heartbreaking. That's the word I'm going to choose to use. But you mentioned, case in point, that San Bernardino is now the crime capital of California, or at least Southern California. I wouldn't dispute that. I was online and had heard something about, and Larry, you're on TikTok a lot, so I'm sure you've heard this too, and Chuck, you as well. There's something that comes up, the post that comes up that says the top 10 worst high schools. San Bernardino High is right there. Isn't that something? Now, granted, we all went to Eisenhower, so in Rialto, but knowing that San Bernardino High, I mean, that's too close to home, and that's deep. I can't even believe that. I mean, I can, but I can't. So the fact that it is still this bad after all of these years, we're talking about 40 years ago or 30 years ago versus now, and it's progressively just gotten worse. Maybe I should say that.
But again, this is kind of like not really for the larger audience, but this is some of the stuff that you and I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason why. See, back in the day, I mean, I'm not trying to get political or anything else like that. I'm just speaking facts. But back in the day, the Inland Empire was an opportunity for a lot of people, especially with the railroad. I mean, you're talking about people who can have a high school diploma and be living in a middle-class neighborhood with a Cadillac in the driveway, a pool in the backyard. It was an opportunity for regular people to live a very decent life. So you wanted to come from other places for that. Norton Air Force Base. So Norton is gone. The Santa Fe Railroad is gone. So you had a lot of industry that was actually, geographically located in the Inland Empire who provided a lot of economic growth. And then that now has been taken away. So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to create that vacuum. So it's going to create that vacuum in an already challenged environment to begin with. And then you put that on top of it. So now because the reason why I'm pausing, because I see this all over. We were just one of the first places for it to happen. And you can move to any major city and almost predict what is going to happen. When you begin to see the flight, whether it be up north in Michigan and in Detroit, when you start to see the automotive industry, that's why, it took our president to say, no, we have to do whatever we can to help shore that up, because that would have created a void. Or the tire industry in Ohio. So that's where we were in the Inland Empire. Those jobs were, like I said, you're talking about people with a high school diploma who are making just as much if not more than people with a master's degree.
But be more specific. Be more specific. This was in the 70s we're talking
yes,
about. Yeah.
Because they provided an economic benefit to the country. So those were very, very good jobs. And when people start talking about jobs, I know firsthand how jobs can make a difference, especially the type of jobs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, it's about the Industrial Revolution. So we've experienced that first. So yes, he's right when he starts talking about, things have changed. Yes, they did change.
Yeah.
Homelessness quadruple. Because again, you went from the haves to the have-nots.
Absolutely.
It's like that.
Yeah. Well, and really, because I think that the people that are in the chat right now we're all of the same cohort in terms of age. And Larry, I know you said you came from LA, but Chuck, in our case, knowing your dad, knowing my dad, my dad was one of those that was stationed at Norton Air Force Base. A lot of our friends' parents were either stationed there, or they worked for Fontana Steel, or they worked for the railroad.
Yep.
All the big jobs.
Yep. Yep.
Kind of the big jobs, the industry that we're talking about, and then you and I talked about this before too. I love that Rialto was kind of marketed. That's the word I want to use for the opportunities. It was family oriented, and like you said, come live here, and you could have a beautiful home and nice, safe community, and da 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 da. And it was in 1972 through about 1978, and then somewhere around 80, 81, it just took a tremendous hit. And within that time frame, I remember my dad retired in mid 80s, I want to say, because he ended up going to work for First Interstate in LA. Imagine making that drive today. But when he retired, I remember all of a sudden that Norton wasn't Norton anymore, like you said, or March Air Force Base over Riverside, Moreno Valley, whatever you want to call it. Sunny Mead, I'll go back even further. It wasn't what it was. They started closing bases down, like you said, and people moving people about. I don't really ever know what happened with Fontana Steel. I don't really know what happened with the railroad jobs, but you've already said it. Those things changed. The industry changed. The need wasn't there. One thing that we also look past a lot of the time, just in terms of industry, was that part of Southern California was one of the largest manufacturers of oranges, of citruses. I mean, right there off of Baseline and Pepper for a number of years, sometime into the early 80s, you had orange groves. Yes. Right there off of that southwest corner, all the way over to acacia or over to eucalyptus, whichever one it is. Incredible.
But the orange groves went away because they were replaced by houses.
I know it.
That people could afford.
Yeah.
Because they were working in these industries. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned Kaiser Steel, because I don't want to leave Kaiser out. I mean, whether it be Kaiser Steel or Kaiser Hospital, these are large employing organizations that gave people an opportunity. And so, I mean, one of the things that, I found out, about my dad, I'm very, very proud of, because he basically did a lot of things that I was not aware of, but it's people telling me now, even friends of mine saying, I wouldn't have played football for such and such team if your dad hadn't paid for my registration. I didn't know that. He didn't come home tell me that. They're telling me these things. Well, even speaking of Kaiser Steel, back in probably about 75, 76, they were up for a big government contract. And so they approached my dad, because again, although we lived in Rialto, he grew up in northern Fontana. And they said, pretty much, we need to be integrated. If you can you pull about 100 people and we'll get them jobs? And he did. Now they had to go through the back door, but they still got the jobs. And actually lift their families. So we might not, in today's time, 40, 50 years later, agree with what had to happen, but it happened, and it started that foundation. And then that's how you begin to build family or economic wealth. Absolutely. Because you have to pass on. So yeah, it just created that void, and those type of voids are happening all over our country. For example, where I used to live in Harlem, my 2-bedroom condo in Harlem, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square foot condo in Harlem is going for $700,000. Really? 800 square feet, $700,000? And that happened as a result, in my opinion, of 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
because people said, no, I don't want to live down there close to the financial district. That's a
Mm-hmm.
target. So they started moving north on the island of Manhattan. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it can actually happen that can help propel certain things, and some people can benefit from it, and some people actually get swept up by it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a moment because I see our sister Elisa Sanchez has joined us. Hey, sis, good to see you. Another Eisenhower love for us. We've had that conversation before too, and specifically talking about Rialto again. It's almost frustrating to hear that the house that my parents paid probably $35,000 for in 1975, 76, before the 76 school year, that house has the audacity to be over $500,000 right now. This is a mid-century modern that was built probably in 67, let's say, something like that, 65, 67, somewhere in there. And the condition of it, what my parents had to do to get it to their expectations, da-da-da-da, I'm insulted that someone actually has the audacity to say that that house is worth $500,000. The neighborhood looks nothing like it did because of everything you just mentioned. Everything you just said is the reason why it doesn't.
But again, I mean, if you're making $15 an hour in 1979, but you're only making $17 an hour in 2024, $15 an hour, you could afford a $35,000 home, a $40,000 home.
Absolutely.
Have like in the driveway,
Absolutely.
the pool in the yard. So again, just talk about nostalgic and all these topics, whether it be like I said, aging and platonic friendship. These are just all things that just impact us on a day-to-day basis, and so this is just the format to be able to talk about.
Yeah,
that's all.
Absolutely. Larry, I see you've said a couple of things here, brother, and I want to be able to read everything that you were saying. Let's see, you said Rialto has done a major makeover in the last 10 years. Well, that's good to know. Rialto is one of the only cities in the IE to have 2 In-N-Outs and 2 Burlington Coat factories. My daughter is getting ready to buy a house in Rialto for almost $800,000. Wow. Little Rialto is almost a major city. That's actually scary because to me, especially being San Bernardino County, I expect that from Riverside County. Riverside County has always kind of been that place, but I don't expect that from San Bernardino County, or at least not from that far east.
Of the county, yeah.
Riverside, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Riverside,
yeah,
Redland,
yeah,
the kind of,
yeah, and Palm Springs, all that area, is that considered to be Riverside County as well? I believe.
It is. Oh, trust me, it is.
Yeah, I'm sure that it is. So I expect it from them. I don't expect that from us, because I think that Big Bear, blah, 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 I think that's probably all San Bernardino County up the hill. But again, you get what I'm getting at. I don't expect that kind of money from San Bernardino County. Just to know that that's what we are paying, that's what we now come to. But that's also the world we live in. A lot of that is post COVID. So you can put blame, you can point fingers at a whole bunch of things in that set of circumstances. So I'll leave that there. Larry, that's good insight, brother. And congratulations to your daughter for wanting to do that, number one, and for being able to do it. You raised a good one.
Say that again.
For wanting to do it and for being able to do it as well. You raised a good one. You raised a good one.
And that's where the separation begins to, again, we start to see it. And again, this is just a platform to give people the opportunity to, have a voice, and nobody's putting nobody down. We're just talking, and maybe we can learn something from each other. And the only thing I can impart in this process of this part of the conversation is I've seen it happen in other places. So if I were to move to, I don't know, Pennsylvania,
okay,
I can look and see what the direction is, how things are going, and what part are we in my move to Pennsylvania. Am I on the front end or am I on the back end? Because it's happening.
Yeah. Something just popped out of a conversation that we had a couple of months ago. It just came back to my memory. I was talking to you, and I don't recall who it was that was on with us, but I was talking about how we talked, how we communicate, and specifically how we communicated with our parents. And so now that we're parents, and we've been now doing this, Do you feel like the communication that you have with your kids has changed any? Because you're talking about all of us being able to grow, learn something, in this day-to-day process, and specifically us doing this monthly chat on Facebook. But do you feel like how you communicate with your kids has changed any? Do you have a different perspective on some things that's kind of helped you this past year? Go ahead.
Only one thing. And I think that's a cohort issue because I've talked to other people, they've dealt with the same thing. I say I love you to them more. I think my dad probably told me he loved me twice. I think mom told me she loved me 3 times until the later years in life. Then every time we got on the phone, we would end it with I love you. But growing up, that's not something that I heard regularly. Like I said, 3 times. So I tell my kids that all the time. So that's one thing that I have changed. But in terms of communication style, no. I'm actually glad that my parents raised me to be independent. So I can speak my own mind. I just had to be respectful. So I expect the same thing out of my kids. Say what's on your mind. As long as you're respectful, I will respect you, but say what's on your mind. You really cannot solve a problem if you really don't know what the problem is. If somebody's wearing a mask, tell me how you really feel, and then let's work through it. So that's one of the things that they gave me. Sometimes it's gotten me into trouble because people who know me now know I'm gonna speak my mind. I mean, what you gonna do? Kill me? One thing I tell them on that is don't miss, because I won't.
They would have to know your mother to understand why you'd say something like that.
Well, and so that's what I'm saying. I grew up in a very in an environment where that it allowed me to do that. So I try to do the same thing with my kids. Please, you have the opportunity to express your opinion, your beliefs, etc. Just be respectful about it.
Absolutely.
And I think we talked about that in reviewing some of the old shows. We talked about intention versus interpretation. That my intention will never be to hurt anybody, but I have to be conscious and aware of how they're interpreting what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Growth moment.
Well, and not just that, and I know that we've also shared this too. If I just said it a minute ago, if people knew who your parents were and specifically who your mother was, they'd know exactly why you're saying what you're saying. That is straight out of the Book of Ruth.
Literally. Literally.
Rest her soul. Rest her soul. But I say that to, gosh, the isms. I think I said that on one of those shows too, or pods too. I'm like, there's so many Russell isms. It's not just me looking in the mirror feeling like I look like him, although I feel like I'm a good mixture of both my parents. There's so many things that are just in there. They're embedded in there about what my father said to us, my brother and I, that have stayed with me. I didn't think that, obviously he may not have thought that we heard him, but baby, not only was I listening, but I heard you, because it comes out of me just uncontrollably sometimes, all of these isms, and I'm very quick to say, like my dad would say, or like my dad would say, or dad said, or whatever that is. And I'm not mad at that. Again, he continues to live on. Although he's gone on to the by and by, he continues to live on. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the Book of Ruth in this moment for you, because again, she continues to live on. And so I say all that, the sidebar conversation, everybody, so I apologize. Okay, well, going back to 2025 then, and as I said, for anyone that actually jumps on, and this is the check-in with, this is the monthly Facebook chat that my good friend Charlie Red, who's you can see on the screen, and myself have on Facebook Live, where we not just interact with one another, but we interact with each and every one of you. So it is very interactive, and we would hope that everyone jumps into the chat and shares anything with us. I mean, we look forward to having any type of conversation. We're open to everything, but we will be respectful, so keep that in mind. But that being said, I see that we have somebody else that joined us. Now, I know that this person and I are friends through Facebook, but see, these nicknames, I'm never going to understand who the person is. So, JG's, I'm like, I know who you are, but I'm like, you got to have your regular name on there so that way I know, so that way I can call you out. But thank you for watching. I appreciate you for joining.
Hey, that's Big John, guys.
See what I'm saying? I'm like, JG's. Now look, I know Lena. We're going to call mamas out. I know your mama. JG's. You could put John on there. That'd have been all right with me. Come on now. Good to see you, John. Man, we go back. Isn't that something? That is something that we could say we go back that far with so many people. My goodness gracious. Anyhow, but that being said, 2025, are you anticipating anything right now that you can say, you know what, I've got this coming up? Like our sister Douglas had said, I'm, writing books and I'm doing da 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 da. Is there something very specific? Because you and I've been talking about something that you've been doing for many, many years, but I am curious to see if that's going to bear fruit in 2025. So is there anything that you have that's coming that you'd like to kind of talk about, that you're looking forward to?
Um, Again, I think this is going to be pretty much directed and influenced by the people who participate. But if I'm just one, this is democracy. I'm just one person with my own opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and I would really like to see a little bit more. Is in addition to some of, again, the topics, just phenomenal topics we've talked about, even in terms of enriching. So, my boy Charles Woods, he's a painter. He does a fantastic job. Again, having him on to be able to display some of his artwork. You and I've talked about business opportunities, and so I'm quite sure there might be something I'm looking to do, and there might be somebody listening or watching who might have that missing component that I'm looking for. So an opportunity for us to, again, be interactive, even on an economic basis, that creates win-win
Mm-hmm.
situations. So yeah, I would like to see, more of that. Like I said, Dr. Wilkes coming on to talk about diabetes or other health issues. So as we continue to be exposed to certain things, because each one of us are experts in our own right in something, and be able to talk about your expertise or share your expertise for others to be able to witness and also learn from would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
what I would like to see.
Absolutely. And again, I don't want people to shy away from the camera. The camera is all good. I promise you it is. And we really want to hear what it is that you'd like to talk about. If it's an opportunity that you have to be influential in someone else's life, please come on the camera and talk about it. So, Sister Douglas, what are you saying? How many of us have nonprofits? Absolutely. Things like that, where we want to share this information. We do have a platform at this point, so we would like to be able to share the information. So again, please join us if you would. Send us any topics that you have an interest in. Well, Chuck, I know we're going to be coming to a close soon. I know I've reached up to see what time frame we have. We got about 9 minutes or so. And we've had some people that have kind of come and gone today, and we know there'll be more people that have come, and they'll watch this after the fact. So again, since we've been somewhat retrospective about what has occurred over this past year of us doing these check-in wits, and I asked you, well, what do you think the reason is that we started doing this in the first place? Uh, I'm going to take a minute to say what my initial thoughts were, and then we'll see about go ahead and closing it from here. Again, I know that for me, I said I don't know where this came from. I do feel like this was divine. This was all led by the Lord, because this is not something that in all of my so-called brilliance that I would have ever thought to do. But to be able to do it, I should say, on a monthly basis, to have topics and for it to be informative with you is crucial to me. So again, I'm grateful for that, and I thank you for that. Why did we start doing it other than being divine? Really just as a way to be able to reach the masses. There's a lot that can be said. And we really were trying to be very conscious of the what we said and the how we say. We have conversations, obviously, on a personal level that are a lot deeper, as we've talked about. But just the ideas of being able to each one teach one, sharing is caring. I mean, all those, colloquialisms, those are pertinent. I'll just put it that way. So the fact that we covered everything from death, grieving, musical influences on your life, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your children. We talked about where we came from, to a lot of degree, and how influential that was on our adult lives. We've now had second generation, with Charlie's son joining a couple months ago. Just all of those things, very, very important. And I want to make sure that we continue doing that in 2025 And as Chuck said, also sprinkle in some other things. Let's take it even further for 25. Let's talk more about, like we're talking about, opportunities that any of you might have that you'd like to bring forth. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about wellness. Let's talk about finances, whatever that is, to be able to be helpful for the next person. That's really what this platform has been about and is about and will continue to be about. So I say all of that and I'll leave that there. That's my desire for 2025. And to me, that's why we started doing this in the first place. All right. Well, let's see. Whom else do we have, sir? We've got some people that are watching, obviously. So we want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us. Chuck, what you got? This is it. This is it for 2024. What you got moving? I see my brother Johnny Watts. Good to see you, Johnny. One of my brothers from church out here in Kansas. What do you have looking forward to 2025 from a personal perspective? What do you kind of see? I don't want to ask you if you have any. What are they called? What are the New Year's? What are they called again? Say it again.
Resolutions.
Yeah. Don't want to say that, but 2025 on a personal note, what are you kind of imagining? What would you like to see?
Just continued growth. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, just continued growth. There's really nothing in particular, but just again to continue to challenge myself to be the better me every single day. And trust me, I definitely get challenged every single day. And I have to catch myself. So, oh, this is just another challenge. And how can I overcome it? So that's the thing that kind of makes me smile, because I've had this conversation. I've been very, very fortunate and blessed to meet all the people that I've met. So it's not about me. It's about everybody who's influenced my life, all the way down to, Coach Mel Henry, who made me bunt for half a season because I was scared of the ball. And only thing I can say is that because of that, I've experienced a lot of quote unquote success, but it's really been superficial.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a position to let people know that success is superficial unless there's something behind it. And it's that something behind it that I call God, that I call the love of Christ, that keeps me motivated. That's what really works for me. So again, people could say successful, not successful. That's meaningless. Like I said, it's superficial. So for me, that's what it is. It's to be the best version of me that I can be.
Absolutely. What are you playing in the background right now?
DeBarge, All This Love.
Well, that's a good way to end it. That's a good way to end that. Well, okay. 2025 for me, I truly, you know this about me already, being a Christian, and I know that this is something that we do talk about on here, and I will for a minute say, as the Bible says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. I'm not ashamed of being a Christian, and I'm not ashamed of what my Christ walk or Jesus walk entails. What I will say is, what I have learned over the course of some time now is that it's important for me to continue to be this vessel. And as a part of being this vessel and emptying out myself and enabling the Lord to fill me up for people to be able to see Him through me, the most important thing to me is continuing to have people see His light illuminate, not mine, not my desire, not my will, but His. So for me, having each of you join in, Chuck, you included, join into this conversation every month is, again, a testament of this was what His will was for us. And I don't mean just Charlie and I, but for you all that jump on here. His will was for you to be here and be present. And we pray that you're able to see Him and His light through Charlie and I, and we're able to see Him through each of you. So for that, I thank you. And I pray that we continue to do that through 2025, that we continue to be positive, We have enough negativity in this world. So just remain positive, do positive things, and to continue to uplift. That's what I kind of imagine for 2025. So with that, this is the check-in. Thank each and every one of you for joining us. Chuck, how are we doing on time? I think we're pretty close.
Right
We're
there.
like right there. I try my best. But this has been the check-in. Again, this is our year-end review. Again, we weren't touching each and every month of what we discussed, but we've hit and miss on some of those things. And as well, just did our normal thing, was to check in with each other and as well check in with each of you. I see my Aunt Juanita Words just jumped on. Hey, love you dearly, sweetheart. Good to see you on here. Chuck, I'm going to give you the last word and then we're cutting it. What you got?
See you in 2025.
See you in 2025. All right, y'all. This has been the check-in. We appreciate you. We love you. All right, now.